like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Soul. In an unexpected turn that has fascinated the entertainment world, the second season of Are You Sure? Premiered with a tone that surprised even the most devoted fans. What began as a variety show returned as something far more intimate. A reunion layered with unspoken history, softened by time, and illuminated by the kind of quiet closeness that no script could manufacture. From the moment the cameras began rolling, it became clear that this season was not about travel, challenges, or light-hearted chaos. It was about two people rediscovering their rhythm after months of forced distance. Jimin and Jungkook did not merely appear on screen, they shifted the air around them. And as the world watched, it felt as if an entirely new chapter of their story had finally begun. Filming for Season 2 started on June 15, 2025, and by the time the first shot aired, viewers could sense it instantly. The way Jimin and Jungkook moved around each other had changed. Not dramatically, not loudly, but in subtle ways that carried the weight of a reunion long overdue. They did not greet each other with the typical on-camera energy idols are known for. Instead, they carried themselves like two people slowly exhaling after holding their breath for far too long. There was a stillness, a softness, almost an unspoken relief running beneath their interactions. Their smiles were quiet rather than performative. Their laughter came from familiarity rather than showmanship. And above all, there was no space between them, not physically, not emotionally, not even in the atmosphere that hovered silently around them. The season's opening scene captured this shift perfectly. The staff waited outside Jimin's home, preparing equipment like a small documentary crew, while Jungkook wandered around inside, muttering to himself with a mix of impatience and affection. "Where's my Jimin?" he whispered as he pushed open the bedroom door. And there, framed perfectly by the soft morning light, was Jimin, sound asleep, peaceful, vulnerable in a way cameras rarely catch. Jungkook paused for a moment, a genuine, wordless tenderness crossing his face as he quietly took in the sight of someone he had not shared space with for months. It was a moment that felt private, almost too intimate for broadcast, yet it anchored the entire season before it even began. Their first conversation that morning set the tone for everything that followed. It was effortless, almost weightless. They bantered, teased, and complained with the kind of natural rhythm only shared by people who have memorized each other's habits. Their dialogue didn't feel like two idols performing. It felt like two people resuming a conversation that had paused rather than ended. There was history in the way they looked at each other, comfort in the way they moved, and a kind of brave honesty in the softness that lingered between their words. Jungkook didn't just glance at Jimin. He studied him, like he was checking to make sure Jimin was truly there, truly real, truly beside him again after the long silence of military life. What followed throughout the episode was a pattern impossible to ignore. Wherever Jimin went, Jungkook followed without hesitation. It wasn't dramatic or exaggerated. It was instinctual, unconscious. Jungkook hovered near him, responding to every shift in Jimin's mood with a sensitivity that suggested he had relearned all the small signals that others might miss. He straightened Jimin's clothes, fixed his hair, guided him gently by the shoulder or arm, sometimes without even realizing he was doing it. His hands settled on Jimin with quiet familiarity, light touches, brief nudges, little gestures that carried more intimacy than words ever could. And Jimin, for his part, never pulled away. He let Jungkook stay close, let him fuss, let him guide, let him touch. His body relaxed in Jungkook's presence, his voice softened, his eyes brightened. When Jungkook hovered protectively or moved instinctively to stand near him, Jimin accepted it as naturally as breathing. Their closeness didn't feel choreographed. It felt like something that had existed long before the cameras arrived. The most striking moments of the episode weren't the dramatic ones, they were the nearly invisible ones. The shared glances that lasted a beat too long. The quiet laughter spoken in a language only they understood. The way they leaned into each other without thinking. Viewers could feel the gravitational pull between them, an ease shaped not by performance but by years of unspoken loyalty. Their body language said more than dialogue ever could: warmth that lingered, touch that reassured, silence that felt like home. One of the standout moments came when Jungkook began taking photos, not of scenery, not of props, but of Jimin. He framed each shot with a gentle focus, smiling to himself as if capturing something precious. The camera was merely an excuse. His true subject was the person in front of him. To Jungkook, Jimin wasn't just part of the landscape. He was the highlight, the muse, the quiet center of every frame. And when Jimin turned and caught him in the act, the playful scolding that followed only deepened the softness between them. Later, when they cooked together, the dynamic shifted into something even more intimate. Jungkook, concentrated and focused, stole glances at Jimin between chopping and stirring, his expressions softening each time. Jimin sat on the sofa, not rushing, not demanding anything, simply watching him with an affection that bordered on awe. He wasn't hungry, he was savoring the version of Jungkook he loved most, capable, warm, quietly proud. And when the food was ready, Jungkook offered the first bite to Jimin with the kind of gentle insistence that made the world feel small for a moment. The way Jimin smiled before accepting, and the way Jungkook's own smile widened in response, created a moment so delicately tender that viewers couldn't help but pause. Throughout the episodes, one habit became especially undeniable: Jungkook kept reaching for Jimin's hand. Whether they were walking, waiting, or simply standing still, his hand always found Jimin's, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unconsciously. And when Jimin attempted to pull away, Jungkook held on just 1 second longer, as if that tiny moment was enough to communicate all the words he didn't say. Their fingers intertwined slowly, naturally, as though their hands recognized each other even before their minds did. And every time they let go, their eyes met with a faint, lingering sadness, as if breaking contact felt like losing something warm. The emotional core of these episodes deepened further when they discovered a surprise cake prepared by the staff. They reacted with childlike wonder, laughing too loudly, touching each other too often, as if the simple joy of sharing something sweet carried meaning far beyond the moment. During the traditional game segment, Jungkook repeatedly gravitated toward Jimin, touching his arm, leaning close, helping him even when help wasn't needed. They circled each other the way sea otters hold hands to avoid drifting apart, a comparison fans immediately embraced. One of the most symbolic scenes emerged during a casual conversation about filming locations. Jimin joked about staying in Seoul for the next season, listing places he'd want to visit, then slipped, almost unconsciously, when he said, "We'll go to your place, then back to your place, and then my place." The meaning was subtle yet impossible to ignore. For Jimin, Seoul wasn't just a city. Seoul was Jungkook. Home was not a location. Home was a person. As the episodes progressed, the impact of their military service became more apparent. They spoke of the challenges they endured: long nights, physical exhaustion, the quiet ache of missing familiar faces. But instead of dwelling on pain, their expressions softened into something proud, something grateful. They had gone through it, endured it, risen from it. And more importantly, they had returned to each other with a bond stronger than before. It was as if the distance had polished their connection rather than weakened it. By the end of episode 2, one truth stood out: they weren't just back. They were in sync in a way that felt fuller, steadier, more mature. Their interactions carried the warmth of people who had lost and found each other again. Their smiles lingered longer. Their touches came easier. Their laughter felt deeper. Everything between them suggested a continuity, a relationship that had never truly paused, only transformed. These first 2 episodes were merely the beginning, but they were enough to spark a global conversation. If this was only the opening of Are You Sure? Season 2, then what lies ahead may not just be entertainment, but a profound unfolding of a connection that has been years in the making. The world is watching, breath held, waiting for what comes next in a story that suddenly feels more real, more honest, and more alive than ever before.